Welcome to another Getting Live Entertainment episode. I just want to say hello to everybody. Thank everybody for subscribing to my channel. For those of you who subscribe, I want to thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm just on here tonight. Just want to weigh in on the Shedeur Sanders thing. It's a situation that the world is talking about, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't weigh in on what's going on. You know, it's so unfortunate that this young man experienced for the experience, but it's the facts. The facts is the facts, and this is the reality. This is what we're dealing with. So, without any further ado, let's get into what's going on. As you know, Mr. Shedeur Sanders, people are saying that he is the victim of collusion. Um, they're saying that Mr. Shedeur should have been picked within the first five picks, first round, or 10 picks at the latest. I would have to agree with that. I've been following his career. He's a very, very talented young man, and we all know that he's the son of Deion Sanders, the Hall of Fame legend. If you don't know who Deion Sanders is, Deion Sanders was a different character in regards to football. He changed the dynamics in every aspect. He wasn't a quarterback. However, he made people respect him in regards to um, after a few years in the NFL. He signed a 1 year contract with San Francisco 49ers for that 1 year. The same year he signed, they won the Super Bowl. Well, the year after that, he signed to the Dallas Cowboys, and that same year he signed, he won the Super Bowl. So in Deion Sanders' career, he was one of them guys who, uh, like, there's only two athletes that I really saw that did this, that boast and brag, and was able to write the checks um, that their body was able to write the checks that their mouth cashed. Um, for their performance, was able to write the check. Um, In other words, whatever they said, they did it. Some would say he was cocky, but confidence and cockiness is a thin line because one, in hindsight, your perspective can say he's cocky, he's arrogant. But if the man say he gonna do something and he do it, then you gotta respect it. He was very confident in everything he said he produced. Same as Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson said, I'm gonna knock this guy out. And 98% of the time, that's what happened. So you gotta respect these athletes. Even if you don't want to, they had at some point earned your respect. So um, the world wanted to see if his son would be exactly like him. Unfortunately, because of the world we live in, the NFL at that point didn't see it that way because there's no way in hell you can tell me that as good as this guy is, even if you say he was in the top 15, which is a stretch, I'm gonna say within the top 10. Honestly, I think he was in the top five in the whole draft. He got picked on he was the 144th pick. That's insane. So clearly, there had to be some sort of collusion. There's no way. And then with Tom Brady being his mentor and own majority of the Los Angeles Raiders, there's no way Tom Brady name will weight when it comes to football because he is the GOAT. So I'm just not buying that. Nobody said nothing. Nobody spoke up. That's how you know it's some BS. And in society these days, people tend to want to control you. And if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And their solution is control. You do what I say. I'm paying you. You under contract. You work for me. This is the mindset of society when you under a contract. So that's what I believe he was a victim of. The world is in an uproar. It's like the hottest topic on the internet. It's viral. So I just wanted to weigh in and get your point of view on what you thought about the situation. again, this is just my opinion, and we all have an opinion. You can agree to disagree. That's what this podcast is about. You know, I may say tomato, you may say tomato. Like, we can agree to disagree. I don't believe everything I say is going to be right, and people are going to take it as being right. But what we can do is have a conversation and elaborate on why do we think it's wrong and why do we think it's right. That's what it's about, having a conversation. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. They just want to say this is what it is, and they want you to believe them. They want you to listen to them. They want to hush you. And if you try to speak out of turn or speak against what they think you should say, they want to silence you. And that's what I believe happened with this gentleman. So without any further ado, let's get into these videos and the point of views of different people um, had to say about this. In case you didn't know, um, Tom Brady coming into the NFL, his career was the same. He was the 27th pick in the sixth round, um, and he was a quarterback as well. So they didn't think Tom Brady was nothing. Tom Brady was in the sixth. That says a lot if you get picked in the sixth round. So that means like you're just a backup. We're going to pick you just in case we need you. That's a horrible pick. Well, what do you know? Tom Brady turned out to be the GOAT. When he got that one opportunity that New England gave him, he showed the world why he was the best quarterback in the world. As it stands right now, no other quarterback in NFL history was greater than Tom Brady as of 2025 today. So I'm hoping that for the sake of uh, people thinking that they can control stuff that's out of their control, I hope that Shedeur Sanders does the same thing and become a very an epic quarterback um, where you have to cover him, you have to talk about him, and then once that happens, there's nothing you can say to prevent him from moving forward because society, the people, the players, uh, 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 the fans is going to want to see him prosper. And how dare you try to stop him after that? So if you didn't want him in, you shouldn't have picked him at all. But the fact that he's in, this is how the powers that be and the laws of nature show you that you're not in control of nothing, even if you got all the money in the world. You get out of life what you put in it. So when you do bad things come in your circle. When you do great things, I believe that great things will come in your circle. In this instant, you didn't treat him how you treated all the rest of the players. You mistreated him and you try to dictate what direction his career goes in. And I honestly believe in my heart that it's going to backfire. So without any further ado, let's see what these people have to say about Mr. Shedeur Sanders.
This is crazy. Shedeur Sanders came into the 2025 NFL Draft with superstar energy, flashy chains, shades on, big swagger. But as pick after pick passed Shedeur by, you could see the confusion and hurt set in. Behind the scenes, the word is, there was already a quiet black ball at play. NFL owners weren't feeling Shedeur's image. Too flashy, too confident, too much like a rap star. They want humble quarterbacks, not entertainers. Then Donald Trump even chimed in, blasting the NFL for passing on Shedeur, calling them stupid, and saying his genetics from day on made him special. Now the real question, was this just humbling? Or was this a warning shot to the next generation of athletes who dare to carry themselves like kings before they even step on an NFL field? Let us know in the comments what you think happened.
We know what happened. What happened was all 32 teams in the NFL colluded with each other to blackball this man from getting picked until he got picked. And then all of a sudden, uh, he received a phone call or somebody put on the wire that he will be getting picked soon. Like, come on, fair is fair. If you are an NFL football team, right? Everybody purpose in football, any other sports, is to beat the team um, that's the champion. Which right now the Philadelphia Eagles is, which is my team, has been all my life. I never had another team, but anyway, they're the Super Bowl champs, so they would be the team to beat. Of course, them and uh, the Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is going to be a threat, and two, he's in a situation where he's older or he's unable to play. But as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a problem. So although the Philadelphia Eagles is my team, I feel like you're going to have to get past, the Chiefs, uh, Detroit. There's a few other good teams out there, San Fran, and this team's rebuilding as we speak right now. But how could you let somebody so good and a quarterback is got to be one of the hardest positions to fill, and you just pass by this guy? How can you need a quarterback? It's at least out of 32 teams, there's at least 8 to 10 teams who needs to start quarterback. So it makes no sense for anybody to pass up on somebody this great. You don't have a feasible explanation that you can explain to the world why you did that. It's just like needing a kidney transplant and you get a match and a donor to having a kidney and you just say, I don't want the kidney. That makes no sense because the purpose of you getting a kidney is for you to live. The purpose of you getting a good quarterback when you don't have one is for you to win. So it made no sense. You can talk to you blue in the face and try to make sense of this, but this is the reality. They colluded and they blackballed the guy from getting picked in the first round because they wanted to go out their way to show Deion Sanders that he was wrong, um, that he can't predict what team he wanted his son. He can't be a parent to his team to his son even in sports. But but Archie Manning did it. He predicted where Peyton Manning and Eli Manning went on both teams in the NFL, and there was no outcry, there was no problem, there was no issue. Google it, go look. There was nothing. But of course, he had the right complexion. I hate to bring race up, but that's what it is. Because if he was a white man and he was in Shedeur was a young white man in college, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We only had these conversations when people look like me. That's the reality. You don't have to say it. I said it for you. That's the reality.
Cleveland Browns select Shedeur.
Because they're idiots. They're idiots. It don't matter if you picked him in the 200 round. All he needed was an opportunity. If you don't believe me, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna show you why. I'm not just gonna tell you.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Listen to
I'm
me.
not here to tell you why Shedeur Sanders has slid in the draft. I do not have the answer, but I do know this because I lived it for nearly 2 decades as a sports agent. When a guy slides in the draft on draft day, it can absolutely wreck him mentally. It shakes your confidence. It makes you question everything. And there's talk, right, that some NFL executives didn't love the way that Shedeur carried himself on, pre-draft calls and interviews. Call it, confidence, arrogance, overconfidence, entitlement. It's really whatever narrative gets created. But here's the thing. That extreme self-belief, it is exactly what he's going to need now more than ever. Because at the end of the day, your draft number, it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. Just ask Tom Brady. How you respond, that's what defines you. And sliding, it just needs to be fuel.
I agree with the lady. You heard what she had to say. That's a fact. That don't define you. What defines you is what you do once you get in. And he was so happy, you might think, why is he happy? And they screwed him over and picked him in the 144th round. Well, he understands, so does his dad, that all he needs is an opportunity. It don't matter if you got picked first or last. What happens, what it depends on, and what matters is what you do once you're in the NFL. Now, some people get picked in the first 5 rounds and don't do nothing. Some people get picked in the sixth round like Tom Brady and become the greatest of all time. So again, she said a mouthful. But Tom Brady gonna weigh in and tell you his story. But before I do that, I want you to see what Trump weighed in and said. This is his letter. Read the letter that the President of the United States said. He's outraged. This is the President of the United States. Now, it's not about a color, with me and most people who like sports. But for those who like sports, they're calling them out on ABS. They know what it is. Now you got the president who's saying they screwed him over. A president, which happened to be a Caucasian, is telling you they screwed him over. This should have never happened. He should have went immediately. He's one of the best in the draft, top five. The president is saying this, right? So what he says matters, even if you don't want to believe it, because he's the commanding chief, right? So this is his intake, and this is his intake on the situation. So they on some BS, man. Everybody's calling them out on it. Everybody's calling them out on it. It is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to weigh in on this and let you see what it was. Donald Trump has said they on some BS. That's what it is. So, Tom Brady had something to say too. He said,
it was just a tough day,
It's about the 22nd pick of the 6th round. And he says, I got to get out of here.
I just remember being there with my mom and dad. Sorry about that. Finally when the Patriots called, I was so excited. I was like, I don't have to be an insurance salesman,
This skinny beanpole of a young man walked over to me and said, "Hi, Mr. Kraft. I want to introduce myself. I'm Tom Brady." I said, "I know who you are. You're our 6th round draft choice." And I always remember he looked me like a laser eye to eye, and he said, "That's right, and I'm the best decision this organization has ever made."
you see? So it doesn't matter what number you get picked. Tom Brady made a difference once he got in there. So I'm not going to hold you up. I just wanted to weigh in there. I wanted to establish the facts, eliminate the negative, and choose my best option. Now, I need you guys to leave a comment, a remark. Let me know what you think. You may think totally different. You may feel like he needed to go um, in the 144th pick. But if you're a football fan and you've been following college or NFL, that's an absolute bull-faced lie. Like the thing I like about sports is when you in sports, this is one of the things that separate us from race. Because whenever we speak on platforms or news or something or current events, race always comes in it. But when your team goes to the Super Bowl, whether you Jewish, you white, you black, you're Spanish, and it's your team, we can all enjoy, cheer, and have a great time together. Sports kind of puts a band-aid on, racism in our country, which is still a big problem. Um, we can see that with um, the Carmelo Anthony situation where the young boy got stabbed. People are taking sides not for the truth or the law. They're taking it based on what color skin the individual was, whether it was the victim, or the person who's accused of the crime. And that's a problem. Instead of us being quiet and just sitting back and allowing the law to do what it do, as long as the law does what it does, we shouldn't have a problem. If they go by the rules, the very rules that they wrote, but we're not going to do that. We're going to weigh in it. We're going to disrespect. We're going to say things that's not um, appeasing to each other's family. Um, Sports is one of the things that separate all of that and put a band-aid on the racism in America. So uh, that's one of the reasons why I like, sports. And and as you see, there's white, black, you see Skip Bailey is calling Tom Brady out because he's saying, "Hey, Tom Brady, Shedeur Sanders was your protege. Like he looked up to you. He was your mentor. Uh, you was his mentor. But as great as you know the game, and one of the teams of the 32 teams in the NFL, you spoke up. You said nothing about them treating him wrong or looking over him getting picked. And Skip Bailey called him out, right? Which he should have. So as you see, Donald Trump weighed in. He felt like Shedeur got screwed. Donald Trump feel like Shedeur got screwed. So as you see, this is not a color thing; it's a right and a wrong thing. We make it about race, you know. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to elaborate and weigh in on this situation and just let you guys know.